copywriter meet with the sellers, and the sellers tell them the story and their memories of the home so that we can write great marketing for. We have our own marketing agency that works only with us, and we've had them for 15 years. They do all of the writing and such for our listings. So we do a lot. And then we schedule all of those, any work that the seller agrees to do and that we have recommended, then we schedule that for them on their behalf. So they don't have to do anything except pay the bill.
White glove service for sure. What was the transaction that changed your life?
I can remember being referred from a past client, two attorneys, and they had picked out this McMansion in Hillsborough. I went to do the agent visual inspection disclosure, and about 5 hours into it, I called Marianne and I said, I don't know what to do, but this house has so many issues and I have some concerns, and I'm not even halfway through the house. She said, come back to the office and let's talk. So I went back and I just said, it's my gut feeling that they could do better for this price point. I think I could find them a better home. So she said, follow your gut, Kat. So I called the clients and I just said, I know that you want this home, but I don't feel it's a good home and I feel like you can do better. And at the time, I told them all the reasons why. I went through the disclosure package. I told them my walkthrough, my experience with the walkthrough. And then I said, if it's really something that you still feel strongly that you want, I said, I can refer you to another agent, but I don't feel good about representing you on the home. And they said, really? And I said, yeah, really. And they said, then we're not going to buy it. We totally respect that you would tell us what you see as the truth. And guess what? Not that it happened this way, but it just happened that I ended up selling them a home in San Carlos, which doesn't have the prestige of Hillsborough, but I sold them the most expensive home ever sold in the history of San Carlos that year. And so they ended up buying an incredible home, and it was perfect for them.
The ability to say, I'm willing to walk away, not just from the home, and I'll make sure to find somebody who could represent you if this is what you want to buy. I'm sure that they appreciate that. I mean, who wants to be lied? Nobody.
Yeah. I always have said before I got into real estate, I had some neighbors and dear, childhood friends that said, don't go into real estate, Kat. It's going to change you. And we don't want you to change. I said, you have my word. It will never change who I am. They said, I don't believe it. I have always maintained who I am in real estate. And I've always said I would live under a bridge and be homeless before I would do something to someone that I wouldn't want someone to do to me. So I speak the truth to my clients. I always ask for permission first. I always say, do I have your permission to speak candidly with you? And it's about being, a real estate advisor, and it's giving advice and direction. And it's not about selling or listing a property. It's about how do we treat people? How do we make their lives better by the work that we do?
Okay, so now, which is the most memorable transaction of your career?
Well, it's in my neighborhood, and Peggy and her husband, John, literally made each adobe brick. They had a mixer on the property, and every day after work, they would come to the property and they would hand make the brick. And they built this incredibly beautiful, like Hollywood style home with a pool and everything. So it was an incredible property with bay views. Amazing. Plus, Peggy was my best friend, even though there was a huge age difference between us. She was in her 90s and I was in my probably 40s. I would always go to lunch with her once a month, and I would pick her up and take her to our neighborhood garden club meeting. So it was a special relationship that I had with her as well as the home. And when they passed away, their kids chose us to represent their home. And what made that more unique was that we had the fiercest weather storm the weekend of the first launch. And we had a live band. We had tables out sitting around the pool outside. We had a catered event coming. And that night, we have had two parents with Alzheimer's here, my mother and stepfather that lived with us. We left the house because we lost power. And I said, oh my gosh, they have a sump pump at that property. We've got to go check on it. We go over there and it's flooding inside the house. water pouring in to the house. So Bob and I are like lifting all the furniture from the rooms and moving it into one back room where it was safe to save the furniture. And then we started sweeping. We went home, got tools and such, flashlights and all that. And then I started calling people to try to come get help, but everybody was flooding. Like it was across the whole bay. People were having issues. So we didn't find anybody. So we went home and got shovels and we shoveled a trench around the outside of the house that had just been landscaped all the way around the house down the hill. And that did the trick. So, but what happened is we had blowers in the next day with sandbags. We sold that house, even though we had a sign across the thing, open house canceled due to storm. People walked right through that, came, and we had 6 offers and we sold it for over list price. And so it was always our laughter about that. We gave a whole new meaning to selling a house underwater. Yeah. So yeah, it was a great home.
A great story to
Yeah,
tell, too.
great memory.
In your opinion, what's the most valuable skill a real estate advisor should have?
Well, I think it encompasses kind of an entire package. If you're only good at one thing, you're not going to be successful. I don't think, in my opinion. You kind of have to possess being empathetic. You have to be a great negotiator, a relationship builder, and really great at networking because you got to be able to build that business. And I always say it also starts with being a good neighbor. I think you have to be a good neighbor because my neighbors list with us. And it's because I'm a good neighbor. So I always say, just be a good neighbor. Be a good consumer at your dry cleaners. I got a listing at a bakery. I was standing in line and I was just super nice to the lady after somebody had just been rude. And her mother happened to be standing in line. And she started talking to me saying, thank you so much for being so kind to my daughter. And we got to talking and she goes, what do you do? And I said, I work at Coldwell Banker. And she goes, what do you do for Coldwell Banker? And I said, I'm a realtor. She goes, oh my gosh, I need a realtor. I'm trying to sell my mother's home. Will you come over right now? Do you have time? So I went over there and I had a listing. So I always say, just be kind, go out of your way to be helpful to people, strangers, because you never know whose life you're going to touch and what a difference you'll make and who they might know that might need you.
It doesn't cost you anything to be kind to others. Kat, is there anything else you would like to add?
Probably, I don't know, maybe that I started my business by buying bulk of the Go Giver. My husband had gifted it to me when he had taken a trip and purchased it in an airport and brought it home and wrote an inscription in it for me. And when I read it, I said, this is how I'm going to build my real estate career. And so I bought the books. I wrapped them. I wrote an inscription in each book, wrapped them up, and I interviewed gardeners, painters, title and escrow, lenders, everybody. And I met with them in my office in the conference room. I gave them the gift along with my candle. And I said, if you read this book and it sounds like it's who you are and who you want to align with, then we're partners. And sure enough, several people didn't follow through. And those that did are still with us 15 years later. So I feel like I set a really good foundation for who we are and how we're going to conduct ourselves in the world.
I love that. Here is an idea behind a book as to how I want to create this business. Let me know if you align. If you do, come and join me, and you're still here with me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about you, your real estate knowledge, and your amazing, amazing life story.
Thank you for having me, Jaqueline. It's very, very exciting to be part of your podcast.
I'm having lots of fun doing this. I get to know people at a deeper level. They are from all over our Sotheby's family, all over the world, and it's a privilege to be able to be here one on one. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. To all of you listening, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you're planning on selling or buying real estate in Silicon Valley or Southern California, go to the best. Check out JaquelineSteib.com or thebedburygroup.com. Just check us out and tune in next week for another episode of Coast to Coast Real Estate.
Bye. Thank you. You did a great job. You're awesome.